Good morning, good afternoon, good night, ladies and gentlemen. As you might hear, I'm not going to be as talkative today. If you've ever heard of the convention flu, that is what you're going to be listening to for about an hour. Luckily, we have we have 4 guests today that can do most of the talking for me, which is really nice. So that means I have to do less of that. This week is going to be all about the community tournament scene, which has really boomed over recent years, as well as the Osu World Cup, which is coming up in 3 weeks. So I'm going to be sipping a lot of tea, coating my throat. I've already drank more tea than I've done in my life today. So let's get started. We have today, actually, Loctav himself will be joining us. If you're unfamiliar with Loctav, he basically is to my understanding, the head organizer or the person that does most stuff when it comes to the World Cups. And that's not just standard, that's also, Cash to Beat, Tycho, and Mania. Then we have Deadbeat, who does a lot of commentating and is also involved with OWC. We have Toy, who is a long-term player, as well as basically unanimously one of, if not the best tournament player around. I think he has the most badges, if I'm not mistaken, over 10. And then we have Yazzehh. I never know if I say her name right, who basically lives for refereeing, tournament organization as well. Just has a ton of experience on the community side, on the staff side of that. So we've covered the whole spectrum. So let's get over to our guests. Let me go ahead and unmute my Discord. There we go. I hope I didn't interrupt any talks, any discussions.
We were just laughing about how you pronounce my name wrong.
Oh, I do?
Multiple times. Yeah.
Wait, how do I say it? Once and for all. I want to know.
It's Yazzehh.
Yazzehh. Okay.
Yazzehh.
Now, I'm going to tell you that I'm forever going to
Yaz.
pronounce it right, and then I'm going to forget in 10 minutes. So, that's just to be honest with you. Hi, Loctav and Deadbeat. You're on the sound-only panel. Couldn't get you guys in one room together. How you guys doing?
Perfectly fine.
A little tired. I'm
Little tired.
Silly. I don't like
It's
it.
1 a.m. so.
Yeah, wait, so we have Loctav in Germany, we have Deadbeat currently in Japan still?
Yeah.
Yeah. Toy is on the West Coast along with me, and Yazzehh, did I know? Oh god, I already forgot.
I am,
Okay, I'm gonna go with Yazzehh.
Just call me Yaz. I am UK based.
UK.
I'm London.
Okay.
So it's midnight for me now.
We're covering our bases. All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. I appreciate taking the time. We let's for everyone individually, kind of for yourself, like a mini introduction of how you got either involved or why you do what you do with relation to tournaments. Loctav, you've yourself been around for how long? How many years have you been doing tournament stuff?
7 years.
7 years? Damn.
Yep.
How did you get into it?
The first one was when I was map selecting for the second Taiko World Cup in 2013? 12? I think it was 2013.
Many years ago, many moons ago.
Yeah, many years ago. I was picking maps for Lepito Photos, and later on I just took over because Natsume Rin was quitting doing OWC.
Okay.
Lepito Photos was quitting doing TWC, and who was the guy who was doing the Catch the Beagle? I don't even remember his name anymore, shame on me. But he was also quitting doing that.
Not
so
even left a legacy,
I
wow. Denied the legacy. All right. So you do all 4 of them, right?
I do all 4 of them.
All 4. Okay, and Deadbeat, how about you?
I think I started off with one of the Oxford Cups because there was a commentary,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't necessarily do a great job. But during one of the Taiko World Cups, there wasn't really anyone around to talk. And since it's in the staff chat, I was just like, do you want me to do something? And I just got told to jump in, so...
Wow, that's the story of the go-getter.
Yeah, basically...
That's like...
everything revolving me helping out with Oz is just
rolled
I've been
into
in the
it.
right place at the right time.
I don't know why I got here, but here I am. No.
Yeah, basically, so I was at the right place. That's literally everything.
That's a skill in itself.
Yeah, and then since then I've just been helping out how I can.
Mr. Toy, you're not wait, have you actually ever done a tournament organization thing, or always player?
If you could call helping host the Maple Cup, which is like a Canadian-only tournament.
As an American?
Yeah, as an American, because I couldn't play in it, so I was like, well, the closest thing I could do is help out. I helped Yoda Snipe with the first installment of it, and I think Miru Hong's basically taken over since then, so
all right,
very minimal.
And do you basically play in everything that you can find? Or is it...
Yeah, anything that I see or someone invites me to for the last like 2 or 3 years I've played in.
Anything that you like the badge for enough to have it on your profile?
Yeah, basically.
Because how many do you have?
Trying.
10, 11, 20?
10. Currently 10.
Damn, that's insane.
Yeah. I've also commentated a little bit for both Maple Cup and other smaller projects.
Oh, okay.
Nothing for big because usually I'm playing in it.
Yeah, the only one I have you're involved in, which is last year's OWC. I don't have any of my achievements. And Vax, kind of messed us both up in the GAF. I don't know if that gave a badge, but
no, it didn't. But he definitely destroyed both of us.
Yeah, Yazzehh. Oh, Yazzehh. Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm not all there.
Yazzehh.
It's the fever dreams. Yazzehh.
It's fine.
How about yourself? I know you do literally every tournament under the sun that is involved with with Osu. How did you get started yourself?
Well, I only started playing OS about 2 years ago. So for the past like year and a half, I've been reffing tournaments, you know, being part of tournaments, organizing them, staffing them. So
you're basically I don't like playing. I want to
watching. Yeah, I first started watching like OWC, and then got involved with TOC.
Okay.
And then one of the guys there, otherwise known as Sir Circle, he taught me about reffing. So the first match I reffed was basically a show match between Doomsday and Vilchku, which was like massive for me at the time because they're like two of my favorite favorite players.
I gotcha.
So, and then I started reffing for the UK tournament, and then I kind of built my way up for reffing GAF tournament.
You caught the bug.
Corgi Cup. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I kind of caught the bug and literally have been reffing tournaments for since then, really. Every month I'm always reffing at least about 4 to 5 tournaments. So I'm always busy on a weekend.
That's cool.
So I've got something to do.
And recently you organized your own one as well, right? So you have that under your belt too. From start to finish.
I organized YSC or Yazzehh Summer Cup. So
all right.
It was a 1v1 tournament, and I didn't see a lot of 1v1 tournaments out there. So
how self-absorbed do you have to be to put your own name in a tournament?
Hey man.
Wow. No,
hey man. Says the guy who's reffing Happy Sticks.
Yeah, it was a self-burn. It was a self-burn. All right. Okay, introductions out the way. That was a lot of introductions to get through. Usually we have, like 1 or 2 guests. Right now we have 4. Do you have any memorable World Cup moments, guys, that you really... Well, from different perspectives. Either from a staff side for Loctav and deadbeat? Wow. Deadbeat. To player for Toy. To enthusiast from Yazzehh. Anyone?
I mean...
This is like popcorn style.
Huh? What?
Like
I made a list. I made a list of events. But from a player's perspective, I guess that the highlights were a bit different, especially for Toy, who won the OWC ones twice. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's twice in a row. Yeah. Well, about to be 3 times. About to be 3.
Whoa.
Wow, confidence too much.
Just spoiled the.
Oh shit. Oh god, I'm sorry.
We haven't released the script yet.
Yeah, no, you're right. I
I
apologize.
haven't even written it yet, so I will let you know.
No, Loctav, because you've been involved in 6 or 7 years of them. Did any particular one stand out to you, or obviously not just standard, also the other ones that you've done? Because it's obviously something that grows every year. How do you how has it been for you through the years to be a part of it?
It has been quite a ride, to be honest. Like, every time, I mean, like, I host 5 tournaments a year, and every time there are
5?
events that are just 5, yes.
Wait,
Yeah,
4
'cause
game
it's
modes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then...
That's
4 key and 7 key.
7.
Oh,
For
okay.
Mania.
Okay, that shows how uninformed I am. Okay,
Today
gotcha.
you'll learn.
Yeah, I did.
Today you'll learn.
All right, so 5.
Some of the many notable ones are actually not for me not happening in the OWC, but more in the Catch the Beat World Cups or OC Catch World Cups.
Because you're personally more invested, or just because something else?
No, because the matches are just more exciting.
Wow.
they're just more close because the gaps between the teams are very, very small. Usually.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The competition is very severe. Like
Alright.
when Germany faced South Korea in 2014 in the grand finals. I mean, like, it rarely happens that Germany ever comes anywhere. Yeah, it was like, I think we even went to the bracket reset, and it was really close. And we even had internet connection issues in between where somebody had was targeted or whatever. I don't
Those are
remember.
fun. Yeah, those are the best.
Yeah.
Because then you have the discussion of was it my internet? No, it was Osu. And then staff's like, no, it was you. Oh, no, it wasn't. It's a me you type of thing.
Yeah, but for the OWC fans, it's mostly probably like the grand finals where with the tiebreaker, China versus. I don't know anymore. I feel ashamed. Was
You
that
mean 2
China
years
versus
ago?
somebody?
If we're talking about CWC, we've got to talk about, I think it was South Korea versus Netherlands in the group stage a few years back. I think it
Yeah,
was
there
Netherlands.
was also in the Taiko World Cup where Spain beat Japan in the group
I'm
stage.
sorry, what?
What?
Like
I
there are a
believe
lot of funny occurrences that happen in World Cup, or United States versus UK, or in MWC 4K. China versus Indonesia last year was quite interesting, to be honest.
I mean, group stages are terrifying. I remember last year we were playing, and it feels kind of RNG because we didn't do as well as we were expected to. Like, not to the point where we nearly went out, but go for it, Soy.
I think it was because I was having connection issues against
Oh,
our very first
right.
match.
That's-
that was
yeah,
why
yeah,
we
yeah.
were losing.
I
Because
remember.
we lost 1 point because I just disconnected.
Yeah.
And then Loctav was kind enough to let us redo one when I disconnected a second time. So
It was scary times.
it was.
I remember one thing that never happened ever again, and that was also in the OC Catch World Cup, where China was fighting against. I think it was,
Wow.
China versus Sweden in the 3rd place match, and Sweden won in the tiebreaker because everybody but one person failed the
Oh
match.
god.
Wow.
And it was
I
Cheat
remember that.
Real
Yeah.
by Karen. I know the map still.
That's
It
a
was
solid
Cheat
map
Real.
pool right there. Wow. That's like dopamine
Yeah,
extreme.
Dave always picks a lot of. Let's say also Catch World Cup puts weird maps on the pedestal since it exists.
I feel like there's also just like less catch maps to choose from.
Oh, that's probably
but
also
like-
an issue.
If your standard map gets picked in OSU Catch World Cup, you maybe have to reconsider a few things. Just saying.
All right, so do you guys? I'm mainly curious as well, Loctav's perspective on this. Initially, a couple years ago, basically, World Cups were the only real tournaments that were around, and for the past, I don't know, 2-3 years, there's really been a huge boom in community tournaments in all shapes and sizes. Has that affected how you run the World Cups at all? How do you feel about the current community tournament scene?
I always ask myself if they copy me or I copy them, but I think it's sort of like
There's art.
It's a mutual thing.
I think it's mutual pretty much. Yeah.
Better give it
It's a pretty neutral thing, yeah.
I always tried with the World Cups to set new trends when I was like rebalancing the map pools, or I remember when I was adding the mod brackets and everybody was against it, and I was like,
What
no,
do you
this
mean
is
by mod
fun.
brackets?
And after 1 year, everybody did mod brackets in their tournaments. So
What do you mean by mod brackets?
like hidden pools or hardcore
Oh,
pools.
okay.
Well,
Oh,
like, I
okay.
remember
Yeah,
having,
most people
5
weren't
hour
alive yet back
discussion-
when that was back when that became a thing. Most people have not
Yeah, I had a
experienced that.
5 hour I have a 5-hour discussion with Mr. Color about that, and he was severely against that. It was.
How was it
weird,
handled before
but-
that? How would you
Just
possibly
no mod.
just no mod, like literally no actual mods?
It used to
No.
be just like you play all the maps in order. There's no selection either.
No, that was
Oh, God.
that was actually what Luna did, or Less Lunatic, in the first OWC.
Oh my
Later,
god.
But when Fartovnik and Netsuverin did it, they thought of the map pool concept, but just did no mod because Netsuverin's idea or something.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. Back then mods were not as widespread, you know, as obviously nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you and or you, Toy,
What was that?
and Yaz, regarding the last 2 years and how stuff has evolved in you guys' perspective?
I've only played in tournaments that have had score v2. I guess.
Oh, right.
I've played with ones that have had score v1, but ever since 2015, both World Cups have been score v2. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's made a huge difference in how the World Cup is played.
Do you personally think that V2 is by far the superior system for tournaments?
I think it's better
I
because
prefer V2.
Mhm.
yeah,
I prefer
for,
V2 over V1.
yeah.
Definitely.
Do you feel
I
like
mean-
there's a bigger advantage in, say, team tournaments to use V2 than 1v1 tournaments?
I
Or
think
not in
team
particular?
tournaments should, in general, more lean towards score v2 because it does force your team to have your team needs to have more depth rather than
Yeah.
like one star player.
It doesn't
Yeah,
have
exactly.
the carry aspect either.
Right.
Yeah,
No, I
So it might
totally
be-
agree.
yeah. It might be worse for like spectating because one person can't like make a comeback, but
Mm.
in terms of like choosing which team is like superior as a whole, score v2 probably does a better job at that.
It's a different kind of hype. It's a hype surrounding a team as a whole rather than an
Yeah.
individual player going ham, holding combo. No, I definitely agree. I don't prefer V2 for playing solo, but for tournaments, it's definitely been a good improvement. And in general, Yaz, how have you seen progression for like in every aspect, from how it's organized to how map pooling is approached to production quality? Like OHC, for example, currently has really high production
Oh.
quality. I'd like to say
OHC
that.
has probably
Oh.
one of like the best productions I've seen.
Yeah, it's
Like,
really good.
They've got the website and the stream looks like fantastic.
And they can't
Like-
put a bracket together properly.
Oh, wait, what did I miss?
They stacked the top 7 out of 8 teams on the bottom half of the bracket somehow because they did it
Yeah.
randomly, and they were like, "Wait, whoops, that was a bad choice."
But
So,
in terms of like tournaments and like terms of how it's set, like you see so many different concepts being used. So you've got tournaments like Suigi who use a kind of randomized process where to form teams rather than basically just forming a team yourself and signing up.
Right.
And you have stuff like Pick Me Up where you didn't pick your own people you picked your own people in terms of who you wanted, but in terms of different rank brackets. So they had 1 to 5. They had a rank bracket for 1 to 5k, one bracket for 5 to 10k, and one for 10 to 20k. And you had to make a team of 3 using one person from each rank bracket.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
then you've got stuff like Please Enjoy tournament, which is like a last man standing tournament, which was really nice.
There's also
and then-
the adopt a scrub thing comes to
Oh
mind for
yeah,
me.
the
like
Adopt a Scrub as well.
2 years ago or something. It's a while back.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. It's a good concept. It was just, for me, it was a little bit shaky at start. So
I remember it being kind of poorly executed. Like I was like allowed to substitute for a team at one point when I didn't sign up.
Yeah.
For it was
Oh yeah,
bizarre.
yeah.
It was very
Same here.
bizarre.
I just randomly found myself in a multi lobby with a team that was playing a tournament. I was like, wait, I don't even know what the tournament is. Why am I playing in a tournament? Is that happened to you? That's funny.
It's like, hey, you want to play for our team in this tournament? I was like, yeah, why not?
Why not?
So I
Yeah,
did.
exactly.
And then in terms of the organization process of it, we've got stuff like the tournament staff hub Discord. So basically it's run by a few of the, people who have run loads of tournaments in the past, and you can get people to help staff your tournament. So refs,
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even personally know about that. So if you want to start a tournament, that's the place to go, basically.
Yeah, it's very unknown at the moment, but there is a lot of people in there.
Oh,
It's just it needs more.
how would people join it if they're interested? That's the only reason you're on here, isn't it?
Forum
No, I'm
post.
joking.
There is a forum. There is a forum post they posted. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, if you find
put
it,
somewhere.
post it in
I'll
the
post it in
Discord,
chat.
then we'll. Oh, there we go. All right. So something that I personally really feel is that the tournament scene has exploded as much as it did because solo rankings over the years have kind of stagnated. I remember that was something that Pepe mentioned years ago, and back then I vehemently disagreed with him, but I now see where he's coming from, where solo play isn't as exciting anymore. So community very much is moving on to tournaments to fulfill that competitive need, and now that is also more and more involving players that might not be as good, like tournaments for players that are rank 80k, etc. Do you guys feel that is a trend that's going to keep on going, and would you say that is a trend that should be more officially supported from an OSU side?
I think that
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know. Okay, I should just appoint someone because when there's 4 people waiting, it's hard to know. We'll start with
Very open-ended.
Loctav and Deadbeat duo.
I actually missed it. Sorry, because I was grabbing the.
okay, let me answer that. I would say that supporting tournaments in the meaning of that we support them with offering them the tools and the platforms to make it easier to run these events is a thing that I'm pretty sure the developers and the OSU team is going to do or is working towards to.
Right.
For hosting them ourselves, I think that given that I'm the only person who runs tournaments and I'm already running 5 a year, which occupies 48 of 52 weekends in a year, I'm pretty much covered from my side.
A little
so
bit.
I can't squeeze more in from my own schedule unless someone else wants to run something official. But yeah, I believe that somebody said somewhere that the focus is going to be more like offering better tools and better platforms for those who want to run it from the community instead of from our end.
Yeah,
So
no, I totally agree with that. That is the most important thing or best thing that you can possibly give to people is basically just the tools to get started, and people do amazing things once they have those things.
You mentioned something interesting where you said whether someone else wants to run something official. How would someone from the community go about making their tournament official? Like the closest thing that we have to an official tournament that's not run by you is Happy Six Summer Tournament, and that's because of like all the backing it's gotten. It's been on like the front page when you log into the game. But like
OHC has as well.
OHC is as well, yeah.
Oh, you're right. But like, how would those tournament hosts go about officializing their tournaments and being like, this is going to be the official World Cup 1v1 so that it can take the weight off of you?
I think that the best route here is like instead of running them officially, it's more like officially supporting them, because if we officially run them ourselves, I think we are like running out of resources pretty much because we are responsible for that.
Yeah,
from
you have
our
liability and stuff that you get involved
Yeah, but
with.
we would love to officially support things that are very well run. Like, if you're not like a one-hit wonder with your tournament and you plan to host it recurrently, like the OHC received support and also was featured in the main menu, and I think there are also plans that more than just one main menu image is going to be shown in laser or something. I don't remember or I don't recall. Don't quote me on that. Just like, you know, I'm just...
No, I agree with that. That's probably best to keep the actual official stuff to the bare minimum, and then because basically you have a huge community of people that are more than happy to put in the effort themselves to create these awesome tournaments. Yeah, and otherwise you get liability stuff and all that. Sorry, go ahead.
I believe other games do it comparably. The game publisher or game developer hosts just one kind of event chain on their own, and everything else that is big and is just officially supported by them. Or, you know, that's like probably the best way to go.
Yeah,
instead of hosting everything yourself.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's see. Mainly for Yazzehh and Loctav, what are the hardest parts for of organizing and managing tournaments on the back end? Because it's such a thankless thing where you put in hours and hours and hours of work into a million things, and then someone gets misscheduled, or you have to, something goes wrong, but people keep playing, and then you have to fix it afterward, and all this painful stuff. What is the main stuff that you guys run into?
I remember a case where somebody's oven exploded within the match, and I had to wait 30 minutes until it
happens all the time.
Oh my god.
Frequent issue.
And also a thing that always happened before we had this weird disconnection rule where everybody complained that it is unfair. We had cases where people were literally plugging their wire out of their router because they missed in the beginning of the map and forced a rematch, or in the middle of the map, or wherever.
That's...
And the hardest thing for me is basically keeping the matches running. It's not scheduling, like... it's not.
Oh,
okay. Don't get me started on scheduling.
It's routine. You get used to it, and you
get used to the
trying
torment
to make it right for everybody.
Yeah, it's an adventure every time.
The best way to make it right for everybody, if you literally can't make it right for everybody, is just make it bad for everybody, so it's equally unfair.
Oh, that works. All right. just put it.
So it's equally unfair.
Put a calendar on the wall and just, you know, throw darts at it.
Basically.
All right. How about you, Yazzehh? Any specific aspects in particular?
I think because, I mean, Loctav doesn't have this issue as much as I do, but it's more of getting, you know, the right staff for your tournament.
Right.
That too. Don't worry about that. I have that.
It's kind of like you have to get people that you can trust. You can, you know, like you can get them to help you, like, get towards the end of your tournament rather than, you know, getting halfway and then going, oh, well, I'm stuck in this kind of loop where I don't have any, you know, refs, or the map pools aren't done, or scheduling isn't done.
Reliable people that, you know, when they commit, they actually follow through.
I think when you've done so many tournaments, you kind of build up like your contacts of people that you can know and you can trust. Yeah. So it's for me now, it's sort of easy to try to get people and be like, yo, can you do this? Can you ref this for this tournament? Can you stream for this tournament? Can you help commentate for whatever I need you guys to do? And that's, for me at the start, it was kind of one of the hardest things to kind of fill, which was getting a dedicated team. But it's also responding to a bit of criticism as well. I think when you're running a tournament, you're open to criticism. You're open to these things that people can nitpick and go, oh, I don't like this. Why have you done this?
Why have you done this?
Why is this? Why have you done this? What have you done here?
I've never heard that setting conversation by a British person.
And I think when you're responding to criticism, you're kind of treading on thin ice. Right. Because they'll always retaliate, or they'll say something that could easily just break you. Yeah. And obviously what Loctav said about the oven is always preparing for the unexpected.
I always
Definitely
prepare for
preparing for
exploding
the
ovens. It's there's one thing I've learned.
Always.
No, but you bring up an interesting point where it is really, really difficult for people that have good intentions and really want to get involved in community organization to actually either find people to do it with, to have the outreach, to even connect with anyone that's willing to play in it. There's issues such as prize pools, because there's these bigger tournaments like my own or the OHC that have bigger prize pools that then, you know, other people feel like they have to compete with somehow. But yeah, no, everything you guys have said, I think, are the best ways to go about it. Is like official tools is a great one, and then stuff like the Discord. Do you have a link, by the way, to that Discord?
Chat.
Oh, you did?
If there's the forum with the forum post, and then the Discord invite is there.
Right.
And
I can
what you do
send
is
some more if you want.
when you join, you post yourself in verification. Let us know who you are, what you can offer to other tournaments that you can do, and then if you want to advertise your tournament, you post it in tournament advertise, and it's all good.
All right.
It's all good from there.
Yeah, so basically, if you do want to get involved but you don't know where to get started, that would be a great starting point. Because as Yaz just mentioned, it's really, really tough to just get into it alone.
It is tough getting into, you know, for now it's quite easy to kind of get into tournaments because there's so many about.
Yeah.
But when I started, there was, you know, not as many.
Back in the old
and there
days.
wasn't as many concerts. Back in the old days, back when I was a wee nipper.
I've never heard that word in my life. Jeez, wow. All right. Damn, I gotta have more British people on.
Yep.
I
Just
learn
have me
new
on every
words.
week.
No, I get what you mean.
Yeah, you get what you mean. You get what I mean. Well,
What's your cup say?
Well,
Your name?
the issue that she described
What
is
did
really
you
much
say?
the reason.
Did you just
pretty much
ask if
the
her
reason
cup
why
says
I-
her name? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you.
It's no problem. It's the very reason why I stream myself everything and why I referee everything myself, because I literally lost a bit of faith.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Over
It's
the
really
years,
hard.
I mean, you
so
would,
many
wouldn't
people
you?
jumping ships where I was like, okay, you stream this tonight and I will have my good night's sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I realized that nothing happened and was
That they fled the
yeah.
country and you haven't heard from them since. Yeah. No, it is really
I
hard
get
not
what
to
you mean.
become cynical. And then over the years,
became
you find
better.
yourself doing everything.
It became really better in the recent years, but back in the days, 2013,
Back in the days.
14.
Yeah, I mean, we've hit a lot of
We're
better
old,
help
I think,
nowadays,
is
but-
what the conclusion here is.
Yeah, I mean, today we get like a lot of
I
really
agree,
good
that's the
help.
hardest. Finding people is the hardest. Finding them.
Yeah.
That's the hardest.
We found some good people recently though, so we're
So-
on the right track.
To move on to something different, map pooling is very much a unique aspect of Osu as a game. I think you'd be hard pressed to find another game that has a similar aspect to running a tournament, where it's its whole own thing in itself that very much also determines the player experience. What are you guys' thoughts? I'll start with Toy this time. On map pooling as a whole, as a thing. What are things that possibly could be improved on with regards to how it's approached? What maybe makes a good map pool, etc.
So I've gone through a bunch of different tournaments that have all tried very different styles of map pooling. Like I've seen open mod restrictions where you can pick any map at any time. My first basically tournament that I played in was NAT 2015, which you could only pick one map from every mod pool. So that's like a different kind of restriction.
Okay.
I've seen all kinds of like groupings. Like last OWC had like a 6-2-2-2 format, and then
6 to the 2 referring to the mod amount for each of the
yeah,
big
6
maps.
no mod and then 2 for each mod.
And then I've seen larger tournaments that have roughly like 5 no mods, but then 3 or 4 for each mod category.
Right.
So
Do you feel that there's a go-to that is the best format necessarily, or is it, fine with variety, doesn't really have any specific
I think
best choice?
my favorite, I wouldn't say best because I don't know if there is a best,
Okay.
but I feel like
yeah.
the ones that I find the most fun to play in and the ones that seem most balanced are ones that have
R8 only.
only old maps.
AR8 is great.
Anything vintage tournament was perfect. No, it'll have like a decently large nomad pool, and then a large selection of very different style maps for every mod selection. So like Hidden would have a very technical map along with a jumpy one and a streamy one. Like each mod was like its own pool essentially, because they were all very different. I find that those work the best as in judging like which player is the most capable at all of these different styles.
Right.
And maybe I'm biased towards that because that's what I'm good at, but
well, I mean, I feel like by default you can't really argue the fact that the point of a tournament is to kind of determine who is the best all-rounder.
Yeah,
like even if barely anyone is a good all-rounder. Yeah, no, I agree. Generally, the best map pools are the ones that have, for each slot, so to speak, have a bit of a different style of map.
Yeah, which is why like last World Cup kind of threw me off, at least with like its format of really heavy-handing the no mods and then leaving the mod pools kind of scarce almost at first.
Okay.
It wasn't like a bad choice, but it was an interesting one. I wanted to hear like what their thoughts were on that.
Loctav, do you have any systems in place that you've grown to basically default to over the years in terms of how to either pick people for map pooling or how the map pooling is approached?
Yeah, the thing is, most changes I do to the map pool, I apply to all 5 tournaments I host. So every change that happens to the OWC was pretty much announced by the 3 other tournaments that were before that.
Okay.
So for this year, we are going to do 6-2-2. 2, 3, 1 again. 1 is a tiebreaker. Again,
5 tiebreakers. I don't know.
Let's not have it.
Best out of 3.
The reason why that is because why it is 2, or why it is in total. It's I think 16. I can't calculate. I don't know. The number it is because. It's balanced around the best of modi we have in each stage. That was the group stage.
Right.
With each stage, you have less maps left over in case you play the tiebreaker. Like in the grand finals, with this map pool size, you only have 1 map that remains unplayed. Which basically means that you have been tested across all beat maps that were left, part of 1. And that's why the map pool is so small. And that's the reason why a bracket only has 2 maps and not 3 and not even 1, is because I want to avoid that one team can ban an entire bracket.
Okay.
Alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are like
see.
plenty of reasons why things are the way they are.
Right.
Hopefully, yeah.
I mean, like if there would be 3, then banning the 1 map would not have a significant impact if one team decides to ban Hidden, for example.
Right.
But if it would be only 2 and we would still have 2 bans per team, then one team could ban the entire bracket. That's why when we still had 2 bans, the brackets for the mods were 3.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well,
did you feel like that was better?
Sorry.
Did you feel like that was a less effective form of map pooling? Was like
the thing is, it was suggested by the actually more experienced tournament people that are playing tournaments and written games from the Mania people, because Mania has tournaments like forever in like all the other games that exist in like VSRG games. And they suggested me that 1 ban is more effective because first of all, it takes it takes less time for the team to decide.
That's important.
Okay.
It's easier to agree on as a team. Like you have only 1 choice you can ban, and you have to deal with it. Not like, do I pick green and red, or red and blue, or blue and green?
How is map pooling different for each game mode? Because I'm only familiar with standard. Is there very specific characteristics for each?
Yeah, for example, in Taiko World Cup, that Hidden and Hard Rock are basically like modes where there are hidden players that only can play hidden because hidden is easier for them, and there are only hard rock players, but there are hardly anybody who can play hard rock and hidden, and there you balance around. And for example, in the hidden pool, it's pretty much comparable to the OWC, where hidden the map gets harder in hidden the slower it is,
right,
in BPM. And in Hard Rock, it gets harder the faster the map is. And if you have a fast map in a hidden pool, it's pretty much free score. So you don't do that.
All right.
It's like,
so it's not humongously different. It's fairly similar at least.
Yeah. For example, the Catch the Beat World Cup has no free mod bracket.
Okay.
But instead, you can pick optionally hidden on all Hard Rock maps and double time maps.
Yeah.
There are a few other modi or for example, Mania World Cup has no brackets at all. Like they only have no mod.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's it.
The old school approach. No, gotcha. I personally prefer to go back onto what was said earlier, smaller pools as well, because it takes less time to prepare. Just play through it quicker. Like a big map pool can take like 2 hours out of your day to just play everything once, and then you haven't even practiced it really. You just played through it once, so you're no longer sight reading. That's another thing, is the time commitment that goes into preparing for and playing in tournaments as well. So
yeah, it can be draining when you're playing in multiple ones at once, and they all have like 22 maps per pool.
Yeah, I hate having 5 finals matches, right, Toy? In one weekend, it's the worst.
I've had three grand finals matches in one weekend, and it was
Jesus.
For 3 different tournaments.
Yeah.
Let me guess, you won all 3?
Yes.
I'm banning you. All right, I no longer want to talk to you. Can you guys think of any aspects in which community tournaments and the World Cups can most definitely improve on for now? Like, what's the next step in the progression of? Because right now the ones that are there generally are pretty well organized. And they know how to handle things. What would be the next step to make them even better?
I think I don't know a lot I think about this, but for World Cup, I think one thing that we do need to work on a bit is information presentation.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
Currently, for World Cup matches, we show the ban cards for what each team banned, but we don't really do anything much past that per se. Like, there's never really like a full list of what gets picked, what gets banned for each match. It's like we just expect people to be there for when everything
Follow
happens.
on, yeah.
Yeah, but then if someone comes in like 4th match, they've got no idea what's happened.
Yeah.
So if we put this there, it would be nice to see what's happened.
Yeah.
So maybe something like a Happy Stick seasonal tour where they have the little picked band things. They have the map pool and they have the pick band kind of thing.
Yeah, similar to that. Yeah, just
yeah.
Yeah, there's a very reason that was there.
Time between maps where we're just stuck looking at either 8 or 6 different main menu clients, and that lasts maybe 3 minutes while teams pick their maps. We've got all that time to present information, and that's something that we could definitely look into doing.
Okay.
One other thing aside from just information presentation is there that like not a lot is actually done with the information. Like, you could say, Team A banned X map, but then after that, it's just like that happened, and now it's just been discarded. Like, it's very cool when like commentators can explain like why that's relevant to a certain team.
That's partially a game knowledge thing, which
which is like hard to do when you're managing
game knowledge, player knowledge as well.
Well, I think I try to do with that as a commentator who keeps an eye on statistics and stuff. Is when I see something interesting, like, this got picked 10 times now, I'll try mention that on stream. Like, this is starting to get quite a bit of traction now. A lot of people are playing this one.
The thing is, you always have to a little bit of balance it. If you always repeat the same phrases when the map gets banned, then the viewership gets bored because most people watch it longer than one match, and many people complain if there's a commentator that is constantly smart assing about everything. So it's sort of a bit. You need to be like. Explanation is always appreciated, or speculation why something was bad, or if the tactics or whatever. But modesty is probably the best way to go. It's like I saw a few tournaments where they were constantly talking or like game knowledge spreading when it was like, okay, put it a few steps down. There are also a lot of people that actually don't have an idea what you're talking about, and then they're tossing around terms like AR and HP and.
I mean, I feel like if you're watching an
whatever.
OSA tournament, you should at least have a basic understanding of those terms.
Not for my tournaments, because I believe that I want everybody to understand what's going on, not just even the people that just pass by.
Okay, that's an interesting
Want
perspective.
to watch it.
Okay.
Like,
I think during the Mania World Cup, we keep referring to like SVs, aliens. All the
yeah,
time,
I
and
always
Loctav
tell
used to-
people I charge them $20 each time they say LN instead of long notes.
No, I think it was 10. Anyway, like we started counting.
Let's
like
settle
how many
that.
we
It's 20 now. Juan still owes me a lot of dollars.
We actually started keeping track of this, and the
Well,
commentators.
the good sir is in chat, so.
It was really quite funny.
Any community tournament stuff that can be improved upon from Toys and Yazz's perspective that you guys can think of?
For me, it's. Oh, do you want to go?
Go for it.
Okay. For me, it's getting more competent and committed staff to help out in more smaller tournaments. I've seen a few tournaments that have been cancelled because they haven't got the staff members to, back that up, or to compensate for the amount of people that have joined this tournament. So I guess with the tournament hub, that kind of solves that solution. But when everyone that you've initially hired can't do anything, then it's kind of like, oh well, what can you do? So that's probably what my main issue is.
Right.
Getting more committed staff members. But obviously everyone's busy and everyone has their own lives, so we can't,
Those silly people. Those silly
The
people.
only advice I can
They're not
give you here is
committed.
that the only advice I can give you here that you have to scare the people ahead before they raise their hand and tell them all the stuff they have to do. So they
Yeah.
chicken out before they
You're promoting
agree.
slave labor is what it sounds like. Wow.
No,
Let's
but
get them
it's
into
like,
your house. Don't
it's
give
like
them water
people-
for 2 days. Do
It's
anything.
more like people have to know what they sign up for, and if you just say, "Do you want to stream?" and a lot of people are very like, "I want to do that. It sounds interesting," but when they realize what this actually all entails, they're like, "Oh, I actually don't have time for that," and then they leave you hanging.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
What can
You need to
improve
be
is there-
ready to people manage to go along with that. Is what it comes
Yeah, you
down
also
to.
need to be upfront clear what you need from them and have their expectations ready and like say in their face, you have to know that you maybe have to stay up until 4 a.m. for refereeing, and if they are not willing to do that, you just don't pick them.
Yaz has
like-
never done that in her life.
I think I've stayed up until 6:30 in the morning to ref a match that was cancelled. That got cancelled and rescheduled. And I stayed up till 6:30 in the morning to do that.
It's the same when you're trying to cast a match and then it's like, oh wait, never mind, it's not happening. All right, okay, guess we're not casting that match. Okay, so we've been going for 45 minutes ish. We'll just move on to the community questions. Let's see. Yeah, well, the first one is there talk about ways for smaller tournaments to gain exposure as well? I think we've gone over that quite extensively. Is there any plans to have community tournaments more featured on maybe the new site, or anything related to developments regarding Laser or, well, the new site?
I think that there's the new design for the registrations available. I'm just putting that on the stream chat. The registration site is got a new painting from Flight, was implemented lately, and what we plan is that also other tournaments could possibly apply to handle the registrations over this site instead of whatever Google Forms or what the hell ever. you know?
Pen and paper.
I think the plan was to have most community stuff eventually go through that as well. I'm not 100% sure.
People also have a centralized hub to go and see what tournaments are open, where can I sign up for, and not have the weird things where Happy Stick gets signs up for a tournament he never heard of, and suddenly he's in a room and doesn't know why he's here.
Hey, don't shit talk the TOC, please.
Well, I've also heard of people who have people have had trouble finding signups for certain tournaments.
It's like in a niche forum. It's in the forums generally, right? That's another hard part.
It's really mostly word of mouth, where people who create the tournaments will talk to the people who they want to play in the tournaments, and those people will be like, "Oh, I'm playing in this," and then more people will join. But it's never in a very accessible place on the forums, at least right now, because no one, admittedly, really checks the forums regularly, unless you're.
It's part of my morning routine.
I must admit, I do it every day.
There is
the forums.
There is a sort of community that has just without it's how do I say this? It kind of a community that's just been formed, that's not official in any way, but the more that you participate, the more you get told about these tournaments. So it's hard to jump into a tournament that's not regular.
It's hard to know where to start. Yeah. So the best thing would be to have a dedicated section, at least, especially given that it's getting a lot bigger over the years. A dedicated section on the OSU site that at least lists competent tournaments, because there's obviously also a lot of non-competent
like a proof tournament that applied for and shown that they were organized enough that they deserve to be put on a pedestal. I think there are plans for that this stuff needs more show off. Also, when they are live, when they are streaming their matches, that they more display in the game or on the website that look here, there's a tournament to watch, check in. I always say it, and I'm always surprised how willing staff is to help out with community stuff, but you just need to find a way to ask.
I think the staff has always been willing to help out with people if what you're doing has caught the staff's interest. If you're doing something that's not really worth their time, but if you're doing something really well, they're more than happy to help out, and that's the way it's been for quite a while.
Right. Okay. Do you guys have any thoughts on the fact that there's so many badges nowadays that it's kind of devalued, or when you're toy and half your profile page is badge?
If you just reset them, then
are there any plans or thoughts on that?
I think the badges are carried over to the Laser website in one way or another, but I don't know what plans are in the future, how we are going to handle badges, or if we are only giving them out for tournaments that are we have different rules all the time, and I don't know, it changes all the time, and I don't think there are definite plans how we're going to handle it.
No, it's a relatively new problem. So
they're handled on the news site. Because I think depending on how they handle the news site would be where to go from there. Maybe
an idea. Say you get to pick the 10 that you want to show, or the 5 that you want to show, and hide the rest, the ones that you personally value the most.
Bad showcase.
I think there's a comparable idea also with the medals that you can achieve, or achievements. There was a similar suggestion for that, but I don't know if this is still up to date or something. And
I've always just wanted to.
We'll see how this is going to be implemented. I think there are a lot of ideas roaming around how to handle medals and badges, or if we handle badges like medals or special medals, or something like that. I really don't know. So we have to see how it's coming.
All right.
And I think not the time yet to say something about that.
Not yet a priority, which makes sense. Will there be an improved tournament client in the near future?
Yeah, same here. I don't know.
Because the current one is a pleasure to work with, but
I suppose all we can say at this point is there will be a client when it's ready to be released. I mean, it's kind of the same with everything.
Sorry, I missed what you said.
Basically, what I was saying was I'm pretty sure that there'll be a laser client released when one is ready to be released.
Okay.
I think that's the way it's generally been with laser, and I don't think it'll be any different with the client.
Have I used the new drawings client on the OWC yet?
No, we started using that for...
Well, the
Okay.
first time the TWC, right?
Yeah, so you guys are going to see a brand new...
Yeah, you see a new
client.
drawings client so it's something.
Yeah, so
but I
you'll
don't
see-
know. Yeah, I don't know if the term client is gonna be ready in time. I mean, like it's not much time anymore, and
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lock Bougie Poo in the basement and make him do it. It's not gonna.
I mean, sounds like you
I
know
think
how.
it's not done by now.
All
I
right.
think if it isn't done by now, it's not going to be ready in time.
Okay, so in
Think
50
what's
years, by the
working
time I'm
with
in
that.
the seniority home, I'll be able to run my OC tournaments with a new client. All right,
You're
sounds
not going to
good.
get the tournament client, but you are going to get the drawing client, which is still pretty cool. And I can't wait to see what people think of that.
All right, Toy specifically, what advice do you have
Cool.
for people getting into tournaments? Do you have a specific playstyle or mindset that goes along with it?
For me, well, the way I got into it was like word of mouth, of course. I joined tournaments that I had heard about. I tried to just jump into whatever I could, but I think the best course of action for the first few tournaments that you play in is to just get a group of your friends that like you would enjoy playing with.
Well, that's the
or
first
if
hard
not-
part.
Yeah, like what I honestly what I did to make friends was to like just turn on country rankings and then start spectating people, just talking to people. And so I started to get to know more and more people and
Be the
started
creeper on
joining
the bus.
tournaments
Yeah.
just for fun. Yeah, I
I
joined tournaments without the intention of winning with a couple of my friends, namely Trick Mirror, who invited me. He's like, "Hey, you want to play OCWT7?" I was like, "Oh, that sounds great." And we didn't expect to win, but it was a great time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any mindset stuff that you have going into a more high stakes one, like an OWC?
I would try your best to not think about how others will be perceiving you, because I had a lot of trouble in terms of getting nervous because I held a lot of expectations for myself. And
Yeah.
if I don't FC this, people will think I'm bad. And I mean,
And then
that
you
can
come to the
help you
conclusion
improve.
people think that anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
So like you mess up once and people will still flame you, so whatever.
Yeah.
And at that point, you just kind of trust your training and play to the best.
Your
you can.
training. Wow. All right. No, I
That's
get you.
the training. Yeah.
There are actually training camps in South Korea. Don't underestimate this training word. There are actually people meeting up in internet cafes and train like in a training camp for World Cups.
Wow, and it
This
didn't
is the
even get him a
thing.
victory last year. That's a little bit
This
sad.
is the thing. Romania and Catch, I think. That's the thing. I don't know if they still do that in OSU, but I know that this is a thing in Catch and in Mania. Also.
Korea would be way scarier if half of their team every year would not go to the army. They keep
Yeah, they
losing
gotta
so
keep
many
going
good
in and out.
players.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, no, there's a ton of players from Korea that just don't play as a result, or are rusty.
I miss some of the old Korean players. I always used to see them in the top 50, and now they're just nowhere.
Yeah, like at one point they're in the top 10, and then you wake up the next day and they're suddenly like ranked 450. It's like, oh, I don't know what happened. All right.
Yeah, where did the time go?
Slept 2 weeks in a row. Or something.
Like what happened? Dungeon is under 600 rank.
Oh man, Dungeon. I remember Dungeon.
But he was actually one
Dungeon
of
was
the ones I
cool.
was thinking of.
He was super good. Okay, well, tournaments be more organized and accessible on the new website. We've gone over that. How do we get more people to talk about map pool balance and tournament formats and their effects on competitiveness of a tournament? Well, we went over map pooling. I do feel like generally map pooling is very much an under breached subject because it's very niche. Like a lot of people that do map pooling only do map pooling and aren't necessarily involved in a lot of other stuff. Yes, do you happen to know if there's also like a map pooling community type of thing?
Not really, actually. I've never come across something that talks about, map pools and just map pool only. But there is a little bit in the tournament hub which talks about map pools, and you know, you can get opinions on different like map pools and what you want to go about. If you're part of the map pool selectors kind of group, then the role, then you can talk about map pools with other people. You can talk about that balance.
And that's in that Discord that you mentioned, right?
Yeah, that's in the tournament hub Discord.
Okay.
So
I was half expecting deadbeat to like insta spam it again, but it didn't happen.
You want me to?
I thought you had the trigger
Spam
finger.
is real.
All right. Now, Toy, do you have any pointers for people that are interested in map pooling? Because it's very hard. It seems like a very subtle quote unquote art, but do you have any general pointers that come to mind?
I'm not sure because I've never tried map pooling myself, and it seems at this point, this is something I wanted to talk about earlier, but we kind of had to gloss over it, was that tournaments nowadays are becoming pretty formulaic. Like,
Yeah.
they're getting much better and much higher quality, but that's because they're following the same format every single time that they do it.
Yeah.
And because of that, map pooling is becoming very much the same. You start seeing the same maps arising in multiple different pools because it's like, oh, this is just a good tourney map. So
I think there's one map that I've seen pretty much in every tournament.
Dragons? My caravan
No,
fellas?
I wish. No, but you do see the same maps come up multiple times.
and it's because
Would you say that's a
it's
bad
getting
thing?
formal.
I don't.
There's so many maps out there that have the same element
Okay, that's true.
to it.
I think as
That-
long as the pool is balanced in terms of not letting one style of play dominate the other, then it's a decent pool. I would very much like to see tournaments try and branch out from the usual style of like how things run. Like there are some community tournaments, like I want to see more stuff like Suiji, which admittedly is like what after the randomized part is very much like a formulaic tournament.
Right.
Stuff like Last Man Standing has a very, very interesting sort of way that like the actual tournament is played out. I remember Ryosuke trying to do some sort of cruise battle, which was derived from Melee.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What is that?
Okay, so post cruise, the teams would make their own map pool and then use that against the other team.
Oh,
It was like
I
a very, very
remember that.
That's
interesting.
interesting.
that's
Yeah.
interesting.
It's a very
And I would
interesting
very
way of
much
playing
like
it.
to see it like come back. I want to see more tournaments to not like try to do something different. And,
Yeah.
like, maybe
Yeah.
I mean,
push.
I'm definitely in the same boat there. I'd love to see community tournaments definitely try new things because
It is
it
hard.
might work, it might not work. I mean, you never gonna know until you
Yeah,
get to it.
it's hard to know what works in practice. Different doesn't necessarily mean good, obviously.
Yeah, there were
Yeah.
some
It can
tournaments that
be-
just kind of flopped.
It can
Yeah.
be a change.
Oh, yeah.
bad.
All right. Okay. Yeah. No, we're through our questions as well. So I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out today.
Mhm.
Of course.
It was a full house.
No problem.
Means I didn't have to talk as
Well,
much, which
fun.
was nice. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. And
problem.
she'll see you guys around. Have a good rest of your day, guys.
Yeah.
You do.
Bye.
See you.
Take it easy.
Bye bye.
All right. My dog is nearly molesting me at this point. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I hope you found it at least a little bit interesting. Again, the Discord that Yaz mentioned, if you are personally interested in getting involved in doing community tournament stuff, then that would be the place to start, I'd say. I wasn't even aware that it was a thing myself, so give that a check out if you're interested. Dogo MVP. Next episode will be with the moderation team. So if you ever wondered about their internal structure or why you did get silenced for saying that one word, 2 weeks from now would be when to tune in. I'm not entirely sure we're having on, but we'll post that in about a week. So yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out today. We'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful rest of your night. See you guys around. Have a good one.